Bardo.
Well, about time we're doing Friday Night Versus on a
I
Tuesday.
know.
God.
This doesn't look like our usual.
Got rid of those two other guys. We don't need them all. But I'm gonna steal
Yeah.
that friggin' Versus graphic because that's
Yeah.
pretty
I
damn.
was trying to get to Pismo Beach. Apparently, I took a wrong turn at Albuquerque.
But hey, that didn't last.
I'm gone for 5 seconds, and man, you guys are just taking over.
I was gonna
What's
bring
up,
the tier
guys?
list up. Hang on.
We could
What's up,
do that.
Michelle? What's up, dude? How are you?
Ollies. I'm swell. I'm groovy. It's all good. How are you doing?
I'm great, man. Thank you for asking. Yeah, I'm ready to rock and roll with you three gentlemen tonight.
Yes.
Showing your colors with some music television there. That's a beautiful shirt. I'm digging it.
Yeah, fresh from Amazon because that's how hardcore I am. Put the sleeves off myself. Thank you very much.
I would have known that
Nice.
you were wearing an MTV shirt, then I could have worn my MTV shirt, then Will would feel out of place. It would have been fantastic.
The thing is, in Canada we had much music. We didn't even have MTV, so I'm just catching up. Really.
Bummer. Well, we have a special PSA to get the show started tonight to explain why Chad has taken over. We'll roll that real quick, and then we'll see where we're going with this thing.
Pork chop sandwiches.
That's right.
Congratulations. He's
the
so
myth.
modest. He turned his camera.
I got to inform you guys that you're already too late. He's already at 5,000, so you're gonna have to do that graphic.
Man, time flies.
Yeah,
That's cool.
congratulations, Chad.
Absolutely.
Well deserved. Yeah.
It's been a banner year for the Chadster. He's been doing some groovy stuff on his channel, some great collaborations with some great guests,
Dude,
including
Jay, look, we're twins.
Nice.
That's so weird.
What?
That's so weird. I was
yeah,
thinking earlier, like, man, I should probably put my MTV shirt on.
Dude, bro,
Great minds.
dude.
Yeah, Will's got a boom box.
I got an extra sticker that came with this boombox. I'll just stick it right on my shirt.
That's
I
great.
don't have
Yeah.
enough time to go change my shirt and come back. Guess not.
Well, I feel left out. I'm just rocking the old Mr. Rogers because it's all good,
All good.
in the hood.
Nice.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right.
There you go. Sticker to the head. Perfect.
Beautiful.
So,
So welcome to the Infinite Playlist Face Off. This is the first time we've tried this. We've had multiple guests before, but this time we're going to do a little versus action in honor of our buddies who do their Friday nights versus. We got two playlists for the price of one. We got Mr. Bartlett and it's Chad going head to head. So let's see who is rocking the playlist the best. And in honor of our Canadian brethren, we're going to let Joe go first. Because
Well, how does this work, Jim? Like, is it 2 songs and then we pick and one song has to go west and walk?
don't overthink it, man.
Oh,
We're just
okay.
going to go through the songs, and then
all
and
right.
people will go through the chat and they'll say yay, nay, and then we'll just
Oh, well,
go
I-
have a tasty beverage.
I'm definitely gonna lose this one for sure, but that's okay.
no.
So let's see what is in Jay's music dossier. But before we begin, Will, do you have a special message from the home office?
Yeah, Ravage here was just telling me. See, there's this thing you could do with the playlist. If you go down in the description below, you can click the playlist. You could open that up in another tab. You could turn the volume down on that playlist so you could still hear us talking. That way, you can enjoy the music while listening to the show, and we don't get copyright problems. So it's actually a really great way when we replay these. That's the way I listen, and it really does enhance your viewing pleasure.
That's a
Thank
great
you,
idea.
sir.
Wow.
It's
Awesome.
our way to play a music show without actually having music. And when we get to Will's favorite song of either playlist, we'll play his Happy Dance anthem.
Oh, I get it. Because his name's Wilhelm.
That's
Yeah,
right.
We're not original, but it's okay.
I'm smart. I picked that one.
Well, Jay,
I've
we're going to
only
put you up in the top square and let you roll with this thing and tell us all about your playlist.
Oh, you want it right now? Like what? All 5 songs?
Yeah, man. It's all about your experience. Tell us the vibe and what chose these songs for you, or did you choose the songs, or did the songs choose you?
Sweet Child of Mine chose me and made me a rock star the first time I laid eyes on Axl Rose and Slash, and I heard what came out of his guitar and out of Axl's mouth. I was
Right
like,
on.
I want to be that. They chose me for sure. I was like a preppy kid from like Pretty in Pink, and then when I saw that, it was all about
Very
growing
cool.
the hair out and all that kind of stuff. Kiss, I know it's not really their song, but it kind of is, but it's kind of not their song. But the message in that song is one that I've tried to live by, which is you work hard, you get what you work for, because it's never too late to go back to that life and do something that you don't want to do the rest of your life. Go Let It Out by Oasis is kind of like if God was to sing you a song. That's what it would sound like.
Groovy.
Burnout by Green Day I still think they're the greatest punk band around. It's my favorite song by them. It just gets you going. And Times Like These has been with me since it came out in 2002. It's my favorite song of all time.
Sweet.
Nice.
Chad, you got some steep competition here, my friend. These are some pretty cool songs. Let's delve in a little deeper into Green Day. Dookie was the first album I ever heard any Green Day stuff from. Really enjoyed it. It's classic, you know. They kind of did their thing. It was very punk, but yet they put their own spin on it. Kind of interesting looking at the backstory of the band. They definitely did not want to be mainstream, and some of their fans were kind of mad at them when they signed with a label. But it's a thing.
I always find that funny. We talked about this when we were talking backstage the other day, Jim. That term of selling out, especially in the punk rock scene. I mean, if you want to do clubs and make $100 every Wednesday and Friday the rest of your life, feel free. I don't think there's anything wrong with signing to a label and making money at what you do. The term sellout, I think it was Fat Mike from NoFX said it the best, where it's just Green Day's music got popular.
Yeah.
Right. And that's pretty much it. So, I mean, they ground it out, man, from the mid 80s. They had 39, they had Slappy, they had Kerplunk, and then Dookie. So it's not like this is their first mainstream record with the label.
Exactly.
Here's the thing I don't get about this whole punk rock selling out thing. I don't know if that's like a East Bay thing, but if you look at the Ramones and you look at the Sex Pistols, when did either of them never make it? The Ramones, like, they took off like a shot as soon as they started.
Yeah.
And the Sex Pistols, they were like the raunchy boy band, Malcolm McLaren just kind of slapped them together. Like they were a complete boy band. So that's just dumb.
So Chad, I think we're on the same page. They're just selling out, like the idea that you're making money and somehow you're not supposed to do that. It's like, well, you guys live your lives, making $100 a night and making a couple pitchers of beer. Like you have to make a living out of this, so.
Right. And from what I can see, these guys didn't change who they were just because they became successful. They didn't let success spoil their groove. The music was good. Music got better, I think, as they got more studio time and were able to refine their sound, but they're still punk.
Yeah, I mean, it's what I used to call, this is not an actually, but this is what I used to call skate punk, right? I used to listen to this record, NoFX, Pennywise, all that kind of stuff. I called it skate punk. It's modern punk rock, really.
I grew up East Coast. You grew up Canada. What was the punk scene like in Canada? Was it something that just kind of came on the scene gradually, kind of drifted out of New York and California, or?
I mean, in terms of bands playing, there wasn't a whole lot odd in my town of London, Ontario here. I was certainly friends with a lot of punks. I was more of a skateboarder kid, which is this weird West Coast cross of a punk rocker anyway, really, you know. And then all of a sudden the skaters were listening to NoFX and old school stuff like Ramones, and then Beastie Boys came in, and I remember just being like, well, but that's rap. It's like, yeah, man. But and so then people were listening to Blondie, and I really just loved the whole culture of skating and punk rock. And again, this album was at the forefront of all of that where I grew up.
Yeah, that makes sense. Will, were you into the punk scene? Were you a punk rocker? Did anyone call you Sheila?
No. I mean, I love, you know, I got to tell you, I mean, I never fit into a specific group, you know, it's just me and my friends, and we listened to music that we liked, and we didn't really put a label on it, or, you know, I mean, I had friends that were jocks, and I had friends that were skaters. And
Oh, so did I. So
punks,
did
and,
I.
you know,
Yeah.
and I didn't really have a scene. It was just us hanging out, you know, and we liked all kinds of stuff, rap, rock, punk, you know, just about everything. So, but Green Day was not like a band that I knew all too well until I heard, obviously I knew the ones that got like lots of radio play, but I really enjoyed the song. And I really enjoyed almost, I mean, a couple of the ones I do know, but the whole playlist. Great stuff, Jay.
Thanks, mate. It's funny with this one in particular how Billy Joe sings about burning out. He's in line to walk with the dead. It's like, dude, you're like 22. It's so funny, right? It's like, wait till you get to your 40s, bud.
Yeah.
It's not the years, it's the mileage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Well,
it's
this
interesting that we kind of talk about genres and who listens to what genre and things like that. But now, looking back on all things 80s, I would rather listen to anything from the 80s.
Yeah.
That comes up a
stuff that's
lot.
out now, you know.
We were
Since we've
talk-
been doing, we've been
we
doing
were
the
talking about
playlist.
that today too, Chad. How, I mean, we were really just Rob and I were live this morning. We're sitting
Yeah.
there, we're like, are we those old men yelling at the clouds now, or is music terrible? And everybody in the chat too is like, no, it's just there's
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, you really have to look. You can find some great independent stuff, but where's the rock? That's why, you know, Metallica is still headlining all these festivals and Foo Fighters and all these legacy bands,
Yeah.
because where is the music?
It's kind of the
That
same
is
thing
true.
with toys. Like you can look hard and you can find some really good stuff out there, but a lot of it is like, here's another He-Man, you know, and all
Right.
that stuff.
Same
Yeah,
old
it's kind of,
thing.
yeah, it's all in
It's
cycles.
because it's that stuff. It's not encouraged. There's no, you know, they're not looking for that talent, so
No.
they're not finding it. You know?
Well,
I have taken that as a personal challenge. So what we're going to do in the near future, Will and I are going to put together a playlist of recent songs, not from the 80s, stuff from the last decade or so, and see if we can find
I'm sure
something
you-
that's of
we
good
can
quality.
find stuff. Yeah. we
Yeah,
can find some stuff.
I don't want to come across the wrong way. I'm not saying there's not
Yeah.
good stuff. I'm just saying, like, if you look at when I was in high school, I would put on like Much Music was the equivalent to our MTV, and you would put
Yeah.
that on, and it's like there's a new Guns N' Roses video, followed by a new Aerosmith video, followed by Enter Sandman. It's just
Yeah.
like-
Yeah.
and then like Smells Like Teen Spirit, and it's just like bam, bam, bam. It's all mainstream, sure, but it's all incredible music coming at you from every direction. And now it's not
It's-
like that, because look at this generation. Why, other than for the love of playing music, why would a kid pick up a guitar now? What are you gonna do
Guitar
with that?
Hero played a video game. No,
No, but
that's
what
not
are you
even
gonna
a
do
thing
with that
anymore.
guitar? Good luck making a living out of it. Like, how are you gonna
Yeah.
do that, right?
Yeah, the industry seems to have become very homogenous, if that's the right word. Everything's very streamlined. If it doesn't fit whatever the corporate wants to put out on the music label this year, then
Oh, it's
Yeah.
how many followers do you have? How many TikTok followers do you have? It's like, what are you talking
Sure,
about? You know,
yeah.
it's
You
like,
know,
Or
but
it
on
becomes
the
like
flip
a-
side, I was just going to say, we've seen some independent artists using YouTube and social media to blow
Sure.
up in a way they never could just playing on street corner or
Yeah.
honky tonks.
So,
but
So
you also have to remember though, like, look at it this way, like what we all do as YouTube creators. Like, let's just look at the video portion of this. So put the music aside. You would need a television studio with multiple employees to do what each one of us does every day. we do sound, we do editing, we do lighting, we do research. We wear all these hats. Where back then, flip it back to music, all you had to
Yeah.
worry about was picking up your guitar, your drum set, and then you would go and the promoters would promote you and the shows would make sure the places are filled. Now, if you want a gig here, Chad, here, it's different. It's like,
Right.
okay, well, how many people can you bring? It's like, what are you talking about, man? Is that
Yeah.
not your job? It's crazy now.
Yeah, the promoter promotes. Yeah, I heard you and Rob talking about that when I caught the replay. But
Yeah.
yeah, the promoter promotes. Like, band's pretty much just the prostitute, right? Like, everybody wants you, but nobody needs you, or needs you but doesn't want you. However you want to look at it.
Yeah.
And you just show up and play. You do your own promotion, but a lot of this stuff, label signing smaller bands and things like that, and how everything's homogenous now. In the mid-aughts, you had like Epitaph Records and Hellcat Records, and they were really pushing like, a lot of bands that got pretty big, but then they started falling into that social media trapping as well. Specifically, one band, they signed this band called I Am Ghost, and they signed I Am Ghost because they had a huge MySpace following. Remember MySpace?
Yeah.
Well, most of their following was bogus.
Oh,
So they got signed, and the label spent so much money on them.
Oh,
And
wow.
we were at their CD release party, and I was like, "There's like nobody here. Like this is a waste of money." And then they did that a few more times. So
yeah. I mean, Jim, you, me, and Will were talking about this last time, where you would find a bootleg CD in a record store, or you'd find like a new record would come out, and that would be like you would celebrate it. Now, music, movies, video games, everything is so disposable. It's all instant. Like, oh, I don't want to hear this song, right? Where back in the day, we'd put on the record, we put on the CD, we put on the tape, and you listen to the whole thing.
Yep.
It's not like that anymore. It's like, well, if this doesn't grab me in 2 seconds, I'm changing it.
Yeah.
For the most part, right?
It's a very different scene, and
very much so. I mean, not that things that were moved to the forefront or promoted more, got more radio play, was in our we our bandwidth. We caught on to it and people found it, but it's even like YouTube now with they push you what they want you to watch. If you want to do an experiment and just log in on a browser that you're not logged in on and look at what's in the top 10 like suggested to you, and you'll see those same things bleeding through. Even though I have curated my feed so many times and said, I'm not interested in this, I don't want to see this, I don't want to see this, they still show it to you. So it's not about what you want to watch, it's about what most people are watching, so they just push it to you. So same thing with music. If you were to, just put on a feed and say, play me songs that are like this.
It's all engagement farming, all of it.
Yeah. And it's too bad. It's really too bad. I mean, how often do you see a YouTube video in your feed that has 21 views? You don't.
Yeah.
You see everything that has 975,000, and then you think, oh, that's the norm. It's like, no, they're just showing you the biggest.
And that's not the stuff I want to see. Yeah, it's not.
Right.
So,
well, let's get rolling with the playlist, or we'll be here all night. Which is not a bad thing, but I know you guys got other stuff going on.
Oh, sure,
So this
Jim,
is
fine, whatever you want.
This is Gilman Street. This is where Green Day performed, and were kicked out, banned after September '93 when they signed with their major record label. So just a little bit of trivia about the band.
they got banned.
Foo Fighters. They got banned for being a band.
That's
Go
dumb.
figure. It is dumb, but it's California. Foo Fighters. Times like these. Good song. Great vibe. Dave Grohl really going for it. I liked it. What drew you to this? Were you a big Foo Fighter fan? Did you come over from Nirvana, or was this just something new?
No, I was a huge Nirvana fan. The whole grunge scene, that was my main scene. It was really just because I was a drummer, and I was always fascinated with the way John Bonham played drums, and Dave Grohl emulated the way Bonham plays, where instead of a lot of triplets and a lot of fancy little I don't know the terminologies, like skiddly pops and all that kind of thing. Dave would just do like just a double prato blue blue, and the toms on his set were like 16 rack, 18 floor, so it was just massive thuds, right? Kind of like
Primal,
sound,
very primal,
very
sound.
primal.
Yeah.
But a good drummer, you can hear, and I don't know if it's just because Chad and I are drummers, but a good drummer, you can hear who it is on the drums. You can tell.
Yeah.
Like when I hear Taylor or when I hear Dave, I can tell instantly who it is. They just have different feelings, right? So no, I was a fan and always fascinated with him being the drummer in the biggest band at the time. Having a chance to, he got invited to be Tom Petty's drummer right after Kurt passed. He was on Saturday Night Live with Tom Petty playing the drums, and he turned Tom Petty down, and he went down to the studio and recorded a record. There was just going to be a demo. He's going to pass out. He played every instrument on it and just handed it out anonymously, and it just exploded. So there's something that redemption has always been fascinating to me with Dave, where he's on top of the world and then he has it taken away from him. And he's already a millionaire in Nirvana. Okay. So he could stop, or he could get out of his comfort zone, do something he never did, stand in front of the mic, put a guitar on. And that's just really cool to me.
Would you say that Dave Grohl reinvented his sound, or he just came out from the shadow of what Nirvana was doing?
No,
I mean,
the songs off the first record are all stuff he wrote from the late 80s to the time in Nirvana. It was just like a greatest hits of all those songs he wrote. He really came into his own in The Color and the Shape, which is the next record. But that one was just primal, and it's just, you can hear the pain and you can hear the joy. And what's so great about that band is that every song is different, and he's never been held down to one type of music, right? Where like Green Day changes their sound a few records later and everyone's like, oh, that's not Green Day, right?
He can experiment and the fans will go with him. I like that. Yeah.
Was he the drummer in the Queens of the Stone Age? That was
just for Songs of the Deaf, just for that one record.
Yeah,
he didn't
was like a
tour
super
it.
group, right? It had the bass player from
I don't know, the goatee guy, right? No,
drink my tea.
He just did that one album, but he didn't do. Oh no, he did tour a little bit with that record. Sorry, my apologies. He did, yeah, but he just did that one record.
Very cool. Well, it's definitely, I would say it's a song about overcoming challenges, which that was definitely something that Dave had to deal with. Some real dark challenges in his personal life and the life of his friends, obviously. And that kind of followed some of his lyric writing. Yes, Miss
System of a Down.
Ah, there you go.
Oh, I didn't know Chad, so I was like, the guy with the goatee, right? The bald guy.
Yeah.
You're talking about? Yeah, okay.
That's
where he's from. Okay.
System of a Down.
Okay. I
Now,
didn't know that.
did you just have a Sometimers moment, or did you Google it?
I mean, I looked it up.
I just saw him sipping his tea, and then it came to him. No,
That's right, because Chad just drinks tea and knows things.
Yes.
Indeed.
Knowing things and being able to
Chad,
recall them are two separate things.
Chad, are you on the Foo Fighters fan club? Are you a fan? Do you like them?
I do like them. I like them pretty much to the degree of what Jay was describing. I think it's really cool that he did, come back from adversity and, got comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I did really appreciate that. And they got some awesome songs. I don't know. The Mam and I, we were in some store in the mall the other day, and one of their songs just came on, and just that guitar. I was like,
yeah,
that's a good song. So,
yeah.
This is something a little bit of music trivia I did not know. Are you familiar with Husker Du? The
Husker Du and
phrase,
Husker Don't?
yeah. A New Day Rising is a tribute to Husker Du's album, New Day Rising. which was a
Hey.
band Dave Grohl really enjoys. So
You know what's? I was gonna say this last time. And Will, this is not to insult you at all, okay? But you remind me of Bob Mold. You know who that is?
No. Now I gotta
Um,
Google it. Or Chad, show us your cup of tea.
Google it real quick. What was Bob
What's his
Mold's
name
band?
again? Bob Mold?
Bob Mold, yeah. The bands is I'm having a senior moment. Bob Mold is from Husker Du. That's right. That's why it was
The Bob
see,
Mold Experience.
I connected them there. So he's from Husker Du. He reminds me of you, and he has Bob sing a song on one of their songs off Wasting Light. So I don't know. I just wanted to.
Oh.
It was bugging me. I'm like, Will looks like somebody. I was like, oh, it's Bob Mold.
No, I don't.
it's like he's going through the whole
Oh,
6 degrees of
I'm looking
separation
at him
in his
now.
head. It's
Yeah,
like, I got it.
I'm looking at this Bob. It's like looking in the mirror. No, it's cool. Yeah. But Husker
But,
Du just sounds
Ryan
like something-
Reynolds was in this movie with
like-
Kevin Bacon, and Kevin Bacon was in Who's Purdue?
That's right.
Yeah,
There you go.
Yeah, dumb.
It's all about the do the do. Husker Du is old school punk, very raw sound. I liked it. I was not familiar with it until I did some research for this playlist. Chad, you're kind of an old soul for loving the punk. Are you familiar with Husker Du? Are you jamming to that?
Oh yeah, they were on a lot of those old skate punk comps with like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Faction and Red Light, Green Light, and all that stuff. And they go
Yeah.
way back.
So it's a sound I've probably heard. I just didn't know the name of the band, but yeah, something to check out.
Yeah.
And just kind of linked to the Foo Fighters by their
I gotta
the
tell you,
whole
man, when this album
serendipity.
came
Well,
out,
see, a lot of people don't know is that Dave grew up in the DC punk scene, right?
oh nice,
So
Oh, I
he's
didn't know that.
first and foremost a punk rocker.
all right.
Yeah, so that's why
I
he has
couldn't
all these
believe
ties
it.
to all these
Like
bands.
I heard Foo Fighters. You hear the name, you're like, "What the heck's a Foo Fighter?" What is this? And it's the drummer.
actually,
It's the
England.
drummer from Nirvana. And then I heard it, and I was like, "This." The first album just played like nonstop. I think back then I downloaded it, but and I just played it all the time. I had it on every burnt CD, every playlist I had. Just
Yeah.
amazing. Love it.
Well, if Dave
Very cool.
Grohl's if he's an old Beltway punk rocker guy, then he should be a big fan of Bad Brains.
Oh yeah, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. You and Dave in a room, I would love to see that because you guys would be just going back and forth.
Probably.
So you're an old punk dude too. It's awesome.
Oh, when I was in the punk rock museum walking around and I turned one corner and there's all like my old haunts, like it's the whole New York hardcore wall of a room. And I was like, oh yeah,
So awesome.
I remember
man.
that and this and that and all this
That's
stuff.
great.
And then I turn and then there's just this giant, it had to be like 10 feet tall by 15 feet wide, just HR from Bad Brains. And I was like, oh, there we are. Bad Brains. Yeah. So good.
very cool. Let's talk about some Sweet Child O' Mine. Little Slash action. Slash sold this album, I think. I could, give or take Axl Rose, but Slash really had a very good sound that people picked up on, and I think he's definitely why Guns N' Roses was as successful as they are. It's a hot
Dan and
take.
we have kind of dissected Guns N' Roses before, and we both kind of agree that without this drummer, the whole sound changes.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
God.
Steve
He's
Steve
such a
Adler was incredible, and he actually drummed. If you listen to the next album, Use Your Illusion, Civil War, he plays on Civil War, and you can tell his drumming compared to Matt Sorum. It's like night and day. It's like he's a real old school. There's a lot of punk in what Steve
Yeah.
does. He's just a hard hitter.
Yeah, and he flams a lot on this album, and flams just give that they kind of give an attitude to a note, and he flams just when you need it. So yeah,
He's
he
great.
definitely. I don't want to say he carried this album, but he gave it a certain like backbeat attitude that this album really benefited from. Because you change
Interesting.
drummers and
Oh yeah, I mean, like you listen to listen to Use Your Illusion 2, and obviously there's some giant hits, some of the biggest songs they've ever had, but I don't know if Matt Sorum was told to play the drums the way he did, but every fill is blah boom 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 boom, like every single fill in the whole record. And it's okay for one or two songs, but every song where you listen to something like Rocket Queen, which is the last song off Appetite, and how Adler's just doing the helicopters, but he's doing it. It's like loose, heavy, and tight at the same time. It's so wild, man.
Yeah, and even those jump notes. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, he just
Yeah. Yeah.
See,
so good.
that's drummer talk.
I love it. That's great.
So as far as Sweet Child of Mine, obviously written to talk about Axl Rose's then girlfriend, Erin Everly. He did not have kind things to say about her. But yeah, it's a thing.
I mean, it's a beautiful song, and I think Axl's done a lot of terrible things. His ego's way too big. If you can excuse that, if you can take that out of this song, if it doesn't skew your listening to it, you have one of the most beautiful sonic sounds to come out of 1987. Axl Rose's voice is insane. It is so unique and so different. Even on something like Patience that was off Lies near the end when he's doing the low, I thought it was two singers.
Yeah.
So I'm like, how can he do that and then go that wow, right? Like it's crazy.
Yeah.
But I mean,
it definitely,
that's my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah, and to me, it's one of those songs like a lot of things that came out of the 80s where certain guys could hit a certain sound and it was magic. And then they just don't know when to retire, and they'll just keep showing up in their 40s and 50s, and their voice can't hit those ranges anymore. And it's like, please don't play that anymore.
Hold up. Let me throw it back to the toys, because Chad and I are thinking the same thing here. People still go and see them though, don't they?
Yeah. They do.
People will still go and pay money. So if they're getting money and they're making money, well, they're going to keep doing it, right? I'm not saying punish them. I'm just saying some, like I think Vince Neil can still hit the notes. He just can't enunciate worth of crap. But if you go back to the Shout of the Devil tour in '82, he was doing the same thing, man.
Yeah.
Right. He can hit the notes where if you look at something, unfortunately, like Paul and Gene, I know we're gonna get into Kiss, they can't hit the notes. So Kiss is tuned down like almost a step and a half, I think. Almost, because it's like when they do like Heaven's on Fire, it's so low.
Yeah, it's very noticeable from when you listen to the original record. And
they can't hit
listen
it
to a live.
It's like, why are you a tenor now? But if Bruce Dickinson or before he died, Ronnie James Dio, always
it's still there. Sure. Yeah, I mean, there's some that can, some that can't. I mean, at the end of the day, who are we to say? Like go sing. I think there's something to be said for just being able to see one of these legacy rock acts. If you've never seen Guns N' Roses, and by the way, Axl's voice is it's awful right now. It's so bad. He's doing a falsetto. He's like, well, he sounds like who's that character, Chad? Come on, Jess, make your peeps and poops. He sounds like
Wilbert,
the neighbor,
the
neighbor Family Guy. He sounds like that.
Yeah.
Oh, Herbert, the pervert.
Herbert, that's Wilbert, Herbert,
a sweet child,
Steve the intern, whatever.
Actually, it's Herbert. Thank you.
Another little bit of 80s trivia for you. This was very popular, and of course, MTV wanted to feature it, so they put a little snip to it. They edited it to make it more radio friendly, so it was less than 5 minutes. They cut it down to 4:58, and really pissed off the band when they did it.
Really,
they did not like that.
Well,
they cut their song.
Slash's work, that solo is, dude, it's like god tier stuff, right? So I would be mad too if I was the lead guitarist.
Rightly so.
This is one of those songs where the time passes, you don't even notice it. It's just it's great through and through. It's not one of those songs where you're like maybe tempted
Well,
to hit the skip. or
Right, but
fast
this was the
forward.
day when you had to be able to plug commercials in at certain points.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
MTV's thinking, let's trim it a bit.
Was-
Not their
It was
best
like
work.
the video for One. Remember Metallica's video
Yeah.
for
Yeah,
One?
yeah.
And it was like forever, and they would only play the forever version on Headbangers Ball. Kind of the same thing.
Yep, that is true. Oasis. This is one I hadn't thought about in a long time. Noel Gallagher. What an interesting guy. He's been all over the music scene. And what drew you to Oasis? Were you just a fan of Noel Gallagher, or you
I was
really like?
Liam, his brother, is more
Okay.
What drew me to him. A short story. I was never into them. My buddy Joe's like, you got to listen to them. They kind of sound. You guys know who Sloan is? The Canadian band Sloan. Have you heard
Negative.
of Sloan?
I said
Not
negative.
real familiar.
Yeah, that's fine. So anyway, he's like, you got. They sound like Sloan. You got to listen to them. I'm like,
All right.
fine. And I listened to them, and I was like, yeah, this is pretty good. And then I saw them, and they were typical British-looking guys, like on TV and stuff. And then I went and saw them in concert in Toronto. I've never seen anything like it. Their presence is unlike anything. Like Liam will stand there and he does this thing where he crosses his arms behind him and he leans into the mic. And again, he has a really unique voice, but the attitude, like when you watch them, you're like, yeah, those are rock stars. Those aren't just guys in a band. That's a rock star band right there. And we were in a hockey stadium, Toronto Maple Leaf Gardens. First time I saw Oasis, Rob and I were standing there watching the opening band. We're by the boards. Rob's pulling on me. He's pulling on my shirt. I'm like, dude, cut it out. He grabs my head. He turns it, and Liam is standing right there. Boom, out. I fainted.
Wow.
I came to a couple minutes later, and I had like tears and stuff running down my face. And then by then, everyone kind of saw that Liam was there, so he had to like bow out. But man, I've never seen anything like that band. Loudest band I've
Wow.
ever seen too.
At least
Cool.
he watched the opening band.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're big music fans,
Oh, yeah.
man. They listen, they have egos, they do, but they don't crap on their fans. They say things. You got to remember in the 90s they were full of cocaine. Not that that's an excuse, right? But
Sure.
saying,
It is a mood altering, recreational pharmaceutical.
they're
So,
saying like,
yeah.
we were bigger than the Beatles. They said stupid stuff like that, man. They were
Yeah.
freaking kids too, man. Like we all say stupid stuff like that in our 20s or 40s.
Yep.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
And that is
I don't even
that is
remember
one
the first
thing
one to
Noel
say
was
something like that.
Noel talked about the fact he was chasing a Beatles sound, and he feels like this song, "Go Let It Out," kind of
Yeah.
that's as close as they ever got. And
Yeah,
it
it's
does kind of have a Beatle-esque vibe.
Yeah, there's organ parts like Strawberry Fields in it.
Hmm.
It's really good. Yeah, it's my favorite one.
And talk about Major Ego. I mean, he's been around, done a lot of stuff, but he's definitely a very significant figure in British rock. This I found very interesting. One of the drum samples on this is from Johnny Jenkins' rendition of Dr. John's I Walked on Gilded Splinters. This song, I listened to the Johnny Jenkins remake, and it is awesome. I think I sent it to you, Chad. I was like, I don't know if you're into this guy. This is the guy that Jimi Hendrix would go and listen to get ideas.
Yeah.
It's
There-
like,
there's
wow.
unfortunately a lot about Oasis in America in particular that people just either don't care or don't tend to dig up on. You go into the UK, they're gods, right? But here it's like, oh yeah, they did Wonderwall. That's pretty good. It's like that's not even
That's not their sound.
no,
really.
no. Yeah, like just Noel Gallagher in particular, because he wrote everything, had stuff like Dr. John in his songs. There was Hendrix licks. He just
Yeah.
appreciated so much, and you can hear it. Obviously, the Beatles and Stones, but stuff like this, yeah. So that's pretty good trivia.
Yeah, that's cool.
This is an interesting one. I remember this song as a kid who grew up in the church under duress because my folks were very adamant about going to church. We listened to Christian rock when that was a thing. And Petra did this song. it was originally done by Russ Ballard, and very shortly thereafter done by the Christian group Petra. And then they kind of switched the lyrics a little bit to make it more spiritual, but it was the same song, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, I liked it. It's a good song. And then we got Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. And Kiss said,
Yep.
"Hold my beer. I'm going to make this song my own." And they did a great job with it. They put it out as
Yeah.
God Gave Rock and Roll to You 2.
Yeah.
And it's great. I loved it.
So for me, I know it's not a Kiss song, but the lyrics. I mean, I've always admired Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley for
Showmanship.
cutting their teeth, because they did,
Yeah.
but also just being very insanely aggressive businessmen and not backing down. A little bit too much sometimes, but the lyrics in this song bring me back to many, many different times in my life where I've stood behind the counter at whatever job and doing something crappy, and it's just like, okay, it's just whatever. We got a gig this weekend. It's like, oh, I worked this crappy job all day and I want to go home and sleep. And then I remember stuff about this song, and it's like, well, it's never too late to work 9 to 5. So it's like, okay, I'm going to go home and practice, or stuff like that. And then you tie in My Friends and I Loved Bill and Ted, and Bill and Ted had like Primus was in it, and then Kiss and Faith No More, and all these
Yeah.
bands that we loved. And it was really kind of making Kiss a little more relevant again, because they were kind of trying to at least keep up with the trends.
Yeah. And they, you know, they went through the, you know, non-makeup era, tried to reinvent their look. I wouldn't say they're the best band as far as musicality, but performance-wise, they put on a good show. They always have, in any iteration, with different people coming in and out. But this is one of those that became one of their anthems that just rolled on and became part of their lineup.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like the direction they did past 96. So it's not that I don't like them, but 96, when they did Unplugged, when they had Bruce Kulick and Ace on stage, and then they had Eric Singer and Peter Criss on drums, and they had all 6 of them. I'm like, tour that show, man. Have every member of Kiss that is still able to play. But they chose not to. So they fired Eric Singer, they fired Bruce, they put their makeup on, and that to me was a bad decision, man. But
yeah, Kiss is an interesting tale if you wanted to dig into the weeds of, you know, the egos and personal issues. And yeah, there's a lot there. It's a lot of lore. But
there is, yeah.
I loved their 70s stuff. That's the stuff that I grew up listening to on, you know, listening to other people's records and getting into this band that I hadn't really heard of that was huge in the 70s, and then here in Detroit Rock City and that kind of vibe. And then I wasn't really big into them in the 80s and 90s because it's not like they were doing anything that was like innovative. They were just, you know, carrying on.
See, I've never looked at music in terms of innovation. It's always, for me, it's always a gut feeling. It's you just feel it, right?
Like
so,
something.
like Eddie Van Halen, one of the greatest guitarists of all time, he can play a million different notes. That's all. That's totally amazing. It's talented. It's technique. Or you could just let Dave plug in and hit that E chord and just point at the crowd. And it's just totally different, man. It's like I would rather watch someone just do that E chord, right, than like billy stuff. But that's me. That's just me.
That's fair.
One
Chad,
thing I
you're-
will give Eddie Van Halen though is that
Hey, did I hit a nerve?
no. I'm adding, right? We're putting layers on this cake, man. We're like adding the conversations. When he was, I don't want to say contracted or hired, but when he was brought on board to do the solo for Michael Jackson for Beat It,
Yeah.
Oh,
he
yeah.
actually changed the arrangement of the song. And
Because the way his
and-
mind works.
and
you
he
can
was
see
really
it.
concerned about changing the arrangement of the song, and then he played it for MJ, and he was like, "Oh, that's perfect." So,
Yeah, and I'm not. Listen, let me back up. I'm not saying that he's not talented or
No.
being able to play like him is not
Yeah,
talented.
sure.
Dude, I will never be able to play guitar like that. My point is, it's just for me, music has always been a feeling. It's like
Right. Like I'd rather listen to Stevie Ray Vaughan than Eddie Van
Sure.
Halen any day.
there you go.
Yeah.
You gave me the choice every day, it would be SRV, but
Sure.
he's gone. But he just
While
like
we're- while we're on a
quite capable
segue,
guitar players, but something about the way Stevie Ray just like poured his soul into it.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
could feel it. You could feel it, man. It's
did you ever listen to any of the
Mhm.
stuff with John Anthony and Sammy Hagar when they kind of went off and did their own thing later?
no, I never did.
They did some cover stuff from Van Hagar, Van Halen era, but they were just kind of a feel good thing. They just kind of went down to the keys and jammed out for a while. Something to look into if you're into that sound.
Sammy Hagar, right? Like
Yeah,
I think there's
that's fine.
Jim and Will. I think there's a time and place for every kind of song, right? And I know glam rock tends to get a bad rap because it's all about the appearances. And for me, it's just the songs are about partying, they're about having fun, they're about living in the moment. For the most part, right? And then there's a time to listen to Rage, there's a time to listen to whoever.
Yeah. And the thing with glam rock, whatever you want to call it, I put a band like Poison in the same category that I put Jared Leto's Joker. Because if you look at Poison on the surface, you think they're like a joke. If you look at Jared Leto's Joker on the surface, you think like, oh wow, like you can't get past the visuals. But
Yeah.
once you get past the visuals and you look at Jared Leto's Joker, he's brilliant. He's perfect.
Sure.
The nuances that he pulls off, it's amazing.
That we've all had those bands, right, where we've listened to,
Yeah.
and then like 20 years later, you see the video for the first time, and you're like, I really wish I didn't have a face to put to this song.
Like, what is it? Open up and say ah. If you just listen
Yeah.
without letting the visuals kind of bias you, there's some good straight like 4/4 old school rock and roll stuff in that.
Yeah.
And CC DeVille, that dude could get down.
right on.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, that is Jay's music dossier. That is a playlist he has brought us, and I
Awesome.
thought it was
Yeah.
pretty good. Definitely
Yeah,
inspired some
nice.
great conversations. Went down a couple rabbit holes, some cool things in music trivia, things to learn, and that's what we do. The Infinite Playlist has been a great, fun thing for us to explore music we've never experienced, because we talk to guys who like to play with dollies, but also like to jam and listen to music. And we're hearing all kinds of stuff that, from many different genres and feels. And it's just kind of a neat experience. So thank you, Jay, for sharing that.
Oh, you're welcome. Anytime.
I think it's fun that you guys do this because it's not just dollies, right?
Exactly. It's not all about the plastic.
P.S. Dollies was copyrighted by this guy right here.
I was wondering where that came from.
No, listen, Rob and I made it up, but everyone, please feel free. It's great. I think, we said it to kind of make fun of ourselves before anyone else could. We're
Yeah,
talking so
sure.
seriously about Hasbro and blah blah blah. And it's just,
My dollies.
we're just like dollies, and so like people can't point the finger and like you still play with dollies. That's right. They're like, yeah, dollies. It's like, okay,
Yeah,
see you later. You got nothing.
exactly. Just totally deflates anything that comes out.
Hang out with my shelfies.
Yeah.
Well, Chad, what is in your dossier? This is not your first rodeo, sir. You know how this works.
No, it's probably the same old shit. I don't even remember.
You
Oh,
brought some new
yeah.
stuff. You brought some
Yeah, you did.
classics. You brought
did.
some
Oh, yeah.
Dino,
Yeah.
man. Let's get into it.
Look at
Nice.
that list, huh?
It's good. Is it as good as Jay's? That's the question. We'll have to see what the chat has to say.
It's
It's different.
It's different.
That's
man.
right. Different. Unique. You've been awful quiet, Wilhelm. We have not heard if you've hit a favorite yet, because I really want to play the Wilhelm screen.
No, I
'cause
mean it's absolutely
just
in
the one.
Chad's, but Jay's was everything. I liked everything on Jay's list. It was awesome. Like it was just great. So it was
Good,
really
good,
fun to
good
listen to.
save, Will. Good save.
And, Chad's list, just throws me because there's some stuff on there I never
Was it the Bob Mold comment? Because that was not supposed to be insulting. It was a compliment, for God's sake.
Oh, look at the time! I gotta go.
No, I really enjoyed it. And
Did you emotionally scar my co-host? What the
Oh.
heck?
I don't care. I've been
No.
called much worse than a Bob Mold.
Well, talk about Kentucky Rain. This is one I grew up with.
Really?
Dad loved it. Yeah, it's a good song.
It just something about this. Well, trying to put emotions into words.
That's fair.
There's just something about this song. It's quiet and it's melodic and it has time to breathe, and then it rises. And Elvis and this period of his life, he kind of, I don't want to say he reinvented himself, but he brought a lot more of his faith to his music. And
Yeah.
there's just kind of something, I don't want to say timeless, but
This is one.
the
it paints-
emotions and the message can still be understood today.
Yes. It paints a picture. I can close my eyes, listen to this, and I can see what he's singing.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? That
Oh,
I
yeah.
love that kind of stuff. It really tells a good story.
And then like just the background singers, and when he's in the chorus and they're kind of trading pitches, it always gives me goosebumps when this song's on. And then like when the piano does that na and it boom and everything swells. I love this song. Love it.
Yeah, he definitely got away from the rockabilly, was exploring more sounds that, like you say, it goes back to his spirituality and his upbringing.
Yeah.
And good stuff, man.
Yeah.
Eddie Rabbit and Dick Hurd wrote this. And Little Ronnie Millsap was actually a session pianist when they put this together. So
Yeah.
he actually is on the original 1970 recording.
Yeah. It's a great song. I love it.
Were you
Just
were
the
you
way that it opens with those weird tones that doom, 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 and then
yeah, you don't know where it's going.
yeah, and then it does like almost like a little march fill in the drum, and you're like, where's the song gonna wind up? Something about
Lost
it.
love in the rain, man. I'll end up wet.
Yeah.
What about you, Will? Did you dig on Elvis growing up?
Never listened
What?
to Elvis. Yeah.
What the
You Philistine.
Just never did. Never
oh,
did.
that's like saying
And-
you've never watched Star Wars. You might as well just
Yeah. But I have
We're
enjoyed
teasing.
I've enjoyed the songs as I've heard them in adulthood. So and this one was pleasant. I liked it.
Right on.
just like you have down there in the bottom in black. 16. Elvis was 16 on the Billboard charts. It's a different
Didn't
time
even
for the
hit-
king.
Yeah. Didn't even hit the top 5.
Or the top 10. Yeah. So
Yeah.
as much as we all kind of look back on Elvis fondly, this was like post Beatlemania, all that stuff, and he just decided, I'm not chasing chart toppers anymore. I'm doing what I want to do.
Well, he
Even
was
though it's
also
not
kind
top
of
10, it's still this is
yeah.
this is
Was this-
probably the time in Elvis's career, aside from like That's All Right Mama and like that early Sun stuff, where he pretty much just said, I'm doing me. So
Yeah. He had started dabbling in movies and trying some other things. And I think that might have diminished some of his energy when it came to getting the albums together. I don't know. I wasn't there. But you also had the Nashville sound was coming out. You had a lot of rebels coming out of hard country making a new sound. And it was something that, Elvis's country music didn't really hit the same vibe as like Waylon Jennings and
Yeah.
Willie Nelson and those guys. So he was kind of figuring out where he was going at this time, I think.
yeah, he was definitely I want to say more exposed to like the bluegrass and blues side of that whole country bluegrass blues than he was country growing up in Tupelo, Mississippi. And
Jay, were you into Elvis? Was that a thing in Canada, or was he just kind of like a icon of yesteryear?
Well, Jim, we aren't on the moon.
speaking of the moon, more people watched his Aloha from Hawaii than the freaking moon landing.
So my
Nice save.
my parents were when where I really got into Elvis was later when I discovered that John Lennon, this was one of John's idols. I like John Lennon. Like, to me, that's like God, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, this is the guy that John looked up to. So then I really started to get into Elvis. I'd say like mid 90s is when I started getting into him. Yeah. So like my early 20s. Yeah, he's amazing. I have a 12-inch Elvis dolly from the 90s.
Sweet. Did they ever hang together?
Dollies.
I don't know. I'd be curious to see if John Lennon and Elvis Presley ever did time just hanging and jamming. That would be so
Oh,
cool.
yeah.
They did meet. There was a weird meeting between Elvis and the Beatles. I would have to find the story, but it wasn't the greatest. But you know, just like Jay said, they looked up to Elvis. I mean, a lot of their early stuff was very, you know, trying to get that rock and roll kind of sound before they came into their own too. But yeah,
It's amazing how we look at the British bands of those times, like the Beatles and the Stones. I mean, they're like gods, right? But it's like, well, Paul McCartney was listening to Pet Sounds by Brian Wilson, right? So it's like he was trying to emulate. He's like, I can do a record like that, and then
Yep.
Sgt. Pepper came out. So it's amazing. It's like they're both like, everyone's like just banking
Yeah.
off each other. I love it. I think it's amazing.
Maybe that's why the sounds of the 70s and 80s seem to fit where we live more, is because there was so much inspiration, collaboration, real artists diving into making music. And it wasn't, I mean, there's corporate stuff going on, but not like it is now.
Yeah, you're not going to see another Queen for a long time where they're just like, well, I mean, we're putting whatever the hell we want in this. And we're just like, okay.
They've got to fix it, and I know we talked about this at the beginning of the show. They have to fix the music industry where artists can start making money, both with recordings and with touring. Like, I mean, regular everyday bands and artists, not just the legacy bands. Once whoever figures that out, then I think you're going to see more new waves of new artists.
And I've always been of the opinion that there are very high quality songwriters, musicians, bands out there that just haven't been heard, you know, and because of the way things are right now, they're not going to get heard. They're going to get heard by like 50 people a night for a while until they can't do it anymore. They burn out, or, you know, they go work in a cubicle or something like that.
And the big guys say, step back, New Jack. Speaking of,
Speaking of, yeah.
Agnostic Front, New Jack is a song featured on One Voice, produced by Don Fury from CBGB. Classic.
Such a good album. This whole album is about Roger Merritt's time in Attica when he was incarcerated. And so I've known Roger since I was a kid. So we've been friends. He now lives in Arizona, and was always a huge influence on my life. You know, he's older than I am, but like, I knew him before he went to prison. I knew him after he got out of prison. You know, we still talk today, and it's something about this album where they kind of just dialed up everything about the attitudes and the sounds and the feels that created Agnostic Front, and they just freaking dialed it up a little bit higher, a little bit tougher, a little bit tighter, a little bit meaner. And it just something about New Jack, the way the vocals, they don't actually like start on the 1 and end on the 4, and lyrics flow into different measures. And I thought that was Roger really like refining his sound for Agnostic Front, more so than just like, we're New York hardcore and everything is, you know, 4/4 and on the measure, and he kind of expanded a little more. But
and it's not like Vinny and the guys were just they weren't just twiddling their thumbs waiting on Roger. They were doing other stuff. So while Roger was incarcerated, they did a European tour, and when they came back, Roger's like, I got some lyrics, guys. Let's do something with them.
Look at the fresh faces. Oh my god.
Oh, I know, yeah. But so much growth, like even in guys like Stigma, you know, who's still like, he's solid today. But Yeah, they grew a lot with that album, One Voice. Yeah.
Yeah.
And New Jack, just something about I don't know, maybe it resonates with me like as a, lifelong service member and I see these kids and like everything's a shiny new penny and they just want to get up front. It's like just get back.
Yeah.
Get back. Yeah, and just wait. Yeah. Rad
Yeah,
song.
good, excellent song, and definitely check it out on the playlist below. It's
I gotta
really
check it.
good.
I've never heard of this band or this
Oh,
song.
yeah,
so,
they are like
Gotta
the
check it out.
godfathers of New York hardcore.
Yeah,
Nice.
Agnostic
Okay.
Front. Roger Merritt, he's the one in the long sleeve black shirt with the long hair right there when he was young. He's his family, they're all Cuban refugees. And
Oh,
he
wow.
has like a really awesome life story. Huge lover of classic cars. That's how he and I really hit it off as friends. And yeah, he's a really rad guy. So
cool.
awesome band. Yeah.
Are they still performing? I know they were still doing tours a few years ago.
Yeah.
Are they still cool?
Again,
Excellent.
right? Legacy, right?
Yeah.
It's Agnostic
But
Front.
unlike
Chris
some
Scott.
other bands, they can still rock the house, in my opinion.
Oh yeah. I was lucky enough because we were on the same label with Roger Merritt and the Disasters.
Okay.
So I've toured with the Disasters, his other band that was on Hellcat, and I've actually played, I don't want to say a tour, but numerous shows with Agnostic.
That's
That's
wicked,
awesome.
man. So cool.
Nice.
And it was cool to, not only am I friends with this guy, but it was a band that influenced me as a kid. And
That's crazy.
here we are, like sharing the stage, just
That's
always
so
trying to
awesome.
outdo each other every night. It was rad.
Yeah, I imagine that the energy was just awesome to be able
yeah.
to be on that stage.
Yeah, yeah.
What do you think, Will? Were you familiar
Yeah.
with Agnostic Front, or was this something that just kind of smacked you in
I
the
was
face?
familiar with it, but I've never listened to it until I put the playlist on, and really enjoyed it. Very good. This
Cool.
is going to be in rotation from now on.
Yeah. There's
Good
just
stuff.
something about it. Jay, you know how you were talking about like if Dave Grohl just hits that E,
Yeah.
right, and just rings that E and like the attitude and the energy and the power in that E. I want to say don't actually me, right? Because I'm a drummer, but I want to say it's a C sharp that the song starts with, and it just goes bang, and then the drums,
Yeah.
da-na-na-na, and then the song just goes, and it's just
Cool. I'm gonna
Oh,
check
man.
it out after this for sure.
good.
That's awesome.
it's good.
Very good. Another classic. I mean, Suicidal Tendencies.
Yeah, how would you know what crazy was? You wouldn't know what crazy was if Charles Manson was eating Fruit Loops on your front porch. Like, it's such
Boom.
a good song.
We've talked about this album before, Lights, Camera, Revolution. I
So
can't remember
good.
whose playlist it was, but
was on,
yeah, same.
Punk. Yeah, Punk had it on.
Was it Punk with Toys? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah,
Great stuff.
We touched on Suicidal the last time I was on too.
Mhm.
We did.
You got to join the
Very
Talking
army.
about, we were talking about
EST
Mike
Army.
Muir or something.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
Of course, this is my favorite song. It's the.
Is this the one?
Yeah, of course. I love this song. I love this whole album. I love
So good.
so much of their stuff. But I was even telling a buddy of mine because there is some stuff that we listened to when we were teenagers that I put on nowadays, and I'm just not as into it. And this is not one of them, man. I put this on and I just feel great. I mean, if you need a pick me up, man, this song.
Oh
just
yeah. You
kills
put this
it.
song in,
You
and
put
it just
this on
starts,
and
can't break.
hear-
And you kind of like jump through a wall.
Yeah.
just like that.
Hey. Yeah.
Mhm.
Such a
Love it.
brilliant song.
Very cool. Yeah, aggressive vocals, heavy guitar riffs. We've talked about the what these guys can do: resilience, defiance, triumph over challenges. Not just in this song, but the whole album is just that kind of. It's not a rebellious spirit. Well, how would you? That's not the right word. I mean,
I think it's celebrating individuality. That's kind of the way
That-
that
yeah.
I see this song. It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's basically saying like, you're not going to tell me what to do. I'm going to do me. Get out of my face in like that aggressive, defiant. Right there, it is. But at the same time, it's very much like we're celebrating everyone's individuality because you're not going to bring me down because whatever is holding you back from being you, I'm just going to go do me.
Yeah.
And I think there's something about just the feeling from this song where I've kind of always always been like that. Like I'm like that now, and
But you're nice about it. Unless
I
people-
am nice.
unless
about it,
people
but at the
aren't nice
same
back.
time, like your values, beliefs, behaviors, and norms are yours, and your opinions aren't going to bring me down. Like I'm going to do me.
Yeah. What'd you think of the video? Trippy? Kind of interesting. It was all over Headbangers Ball. You
Yeah,
couldn't
it's
miss
just
it.
it's always been there. I don't know. There's just something about Mike Muir. You know, he's got that just old like Vato Rat kind of vibe, like just like that
Yeah.
Dogtown, freaking get down, you know, Muscle Beach shit. And like Mike Muir's just rad.
I remember when
Freaking
when
rad.
we were in like 8th grade, and when I was discovering GNR and Kiss and all that stuff, just think they're so great. And my one buddy, I'm gonna call him out. His name is Mike Moore. Mike Moore was the suicidal dude. He listened to DRI, MOD, MDC, Suicidal,
Oh yeah.
and he would bring these out, and I would feel like this big because I like. He's like, oh yeah, I mean those guys are okay, but check this out. He'd be like, no.
Yeah.
Like, okay,
Whoa.
I was
You're
actually
awesome.
just jamming 4 of a kind from DRI the other day, driving
Oh,
around. And I was
nice.
like, yeah, I remember
Nice.
when I first bought this cassette. Yeah. It's good stuff.
I'm just getting images of you in uniform in your vehicle back in the day, just cranking this stuff and then having to kind of turn it down and put on your professionalism.
Yeah. Always. Yeah. I love it.
It's like, all
This
right,
was,
tap
this
that
was
down.
a big part of like my clearing routes,
Yep.
kind of playlist too.
I don't doubt it.
yeah.
It's it's right there. We talked about Dio a little bit earlier. What a phenomenon. Just always good. Always good.
Yeah.
Um,
and I don't know why I put Dio on this, but I mean,
Were you
Rainbow
feeling
in
the
the Dark
Black
is a
Sabbath?
phenomenal song, and maybe I was just in the mood for it. But yeah. Anytime
Most-
this song comes on, I will stop what I'm doing.
Well, yeah, he got around. I mean, let's see. Where did he start with? Did he start with Rainbow? No,
Rainbow.
He started with Rainbow
Mhm.
and ended up with Black Sabbath. Did a couple albums with them, and then went off and did. He kind of hung around and
I think
and
he did a
played on some
reunion
other-
thing with Rainbow, and then he went
Maybe.
and did Dio. Yeah.
Yeah,
And there's Rainbow elements, Rainbow in the Dark. There's elements of just the band Rainbow, the term, the word, in everything that he did since Rainbow.
not only is he a legendary singer, but just the way he can put together the whole performance.
He's also
know.
responsible for this.
I'm gonna get there.
Oh, okay. I'm
Yep.
sorry.
Boom, baby. Yep. And this kind of goes down a particular lane that you know well. This came from his Italian grandmother.
That's right.
Which,
It's called the
uh,
Maloikio. You ward
thank
off
you.
evil spirits with it.
It's not the devil sign. It is the exact opposite.
Yeah.
Very
Yep.
cool.
It's actually to ward off evil. And people would see Ronnie James Dio doing this, and then they turned it into that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because he would always do this out over the crowd. Yeah, and it just became that. Which is, it's cool.
Yeah.
It's what you do when you're in the crowd, right? Like you hold your hands up. It's like, what are you gonna do? Just hi? No, it's like you want you don't want to do this because that's aggressive. So it's just like, fuck yeah, man. Like, whoa,
Yeah,
right?
and it works perfectly.
Yeah.
So you were warding off evil as you were getting ready to do a little crowd surfing.
And you know what? I can vouch. He's a little guy too. Us little guys can rock pretty hard too. So there you go.
Yeah,
There you go.
He was quite small.
Was he like 5'3"?
Yeah, small in size, large in stature. We'll say.
Oh, dude, his
Yeah,
voice
but-
was crazy.
But that being said, I think another thing that ties into all this other stuff about things on the surface. So Ronnie James Dio, he's out there doing this. He's got Holy Diver and the imagery, and everyone thinks like, oh, they're Satanists. Or you look at like
No.
Eddie and the Trooper and freaking
Right.
all this Iron Maiden stuff. Oh, they're Satanists. Oh, they're Satanists. Like, you don't take 5 minutes to listen and read the lyrics while you're listening to even understand that couldn't be further from the truth.
Motley
Yeah, it's
Crue
like-
got that too in '82. Their album was called "Shout
At
at
the devil.
the Devil,"
Right.
and parents were like, "They're Satanists. How can they be Satanists if they're shouting at the
Yeah.
devil? They're not shouting with the devil." It's like,
And again,
Right.
read the lyrics and you understand
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
what
yeah.
they're
Oh
talking.
yeah,
A lot of
You know,
people
you
don't
had-
understand nuance, you know.
right. The album liner notes and everything that
I
was
think
there,
they're
it
just,
played-
oh, my kids aren't allowed to have fun. They're not allowed to love things. They have to go work that factory
Yeah.
job like we did for 40 years.
We're gonna
a day.
burn
Or-
these records and run them over
Yeah.
with pavers.
Or
Put
no
that
one can
guitar
take
down. You have to be
responsibility
miserable
for
like me.
yeah, their actions. So if someone did something effed up, it was, oh, my boy wouldn't do that. Not my child. You know, my child wouldn't do that. It was the rock music made him do it. Yeah,
And
that's
the,
what it
and
was.
the funny
yeah,
thing
sure.
is, those parents
Them video
who
games.
hated Motley Crue and Iron Maiden and Ronnie James Dio and all that stuff, they were probably the kids trying to watch Elvis on the Ed Sullivan show when their
Sure.
parents were like,
With-
"Turn that off," you know. Like, so,
that boy's
Sure.
shaking his pelvis.
wait,
Yeah.
you can't shake them hips. Put the camera up. Yeah, just dumb.
All I can say about that whole satanic panic gobbledygook is God bless D. Snyder.
Oh
he
yeah,
just-
when he went in front of the PMRC and let him have it.
Oh, he did a classic job of just being exactly what they expected him to be, coming in, sitting down at the table, and taking him to church. It's just like,
He did.
Well, God forbid the parents should take accountability for maybe not raising their kids right.
Yeah.
No,
No,
they got to blame Dio. They got to blame Ozzy. They got to blame Mortal Kombat. They got to blame
it's
whatever
that
else.
game with the
Doom.
dice,
Doom.
Dungeons and Dragons. It made 'em- it
It's
made 'em,
Doom. There's pentagrams in it, so they're satanic. Like,
mhm. So stupid.
yeah,
oh yeah, this is
Kind of-
every
kind of a
every
left field
generation.
pick out of the rest of them, right?
Yeah.
Such.
Go.
Go.
Yeah, I was gonna say Goji and I were just talking about all the stuff with comic books back in the 40s and 50s when they were trying to ban all that because of,
Yeah, and then they had the comics code and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So the Jesus and Mary Chain is not a band I'm super familiar with.
Ah, it's-
Really cool sound.
yeah. This whole album, the whole album, Automatic, I freaking love it. And I don't know what mood I was in when I picked this song. It's just anytime I hear this song, it starts da, 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 boom, and then it just kicks in.
Yeah.
There's something good about the song, and the way that all the sounds layer, right? So you have that sonic fidelity. I think this song is just, it's airtight. It is
I
airtight.
like the
and,
fact you can hear like echoes of the 50s in some of the riffs.
Yeah.
But yet there's this, they called it like white noise. It was a sound that they just had that
Mhm.
was, nobody else does that the way this band does.
yeah. And
And,
there's just something about, I think our music has moods like we do, and every once in a while I want to listen to like Echo and the Bunnymen, or I want to listen to like it. It's hard for me to listen to Sisters of Mercy anymore. I had a friend who tragically died, and
Mm.
Sisters of Mercy and like Fields of the Nephilim, those were like his two bands. So I have to be in a very specific mood to listen to Sisters, or I get all bummed out about my buddy.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's just times where I'm like, yeah, I just want to put on like Echo and the Bunnymen or the Church or something and just chill out.
Is it wrong that I prefer Echo and the Bunnymen's People Are Strange over the Doors? I know that's sacrilege to some people, but I like their version.
It's
do
good.
you know
It's
what I would say to that, Jim? Is that who gives a fuck what anyone thinks?
See, we're not on Jay's channel. He's gonna let him fly.
I'm
right.
just gonna say, and that's not an insult to you, my friend. It's just to say, like,
No, that's fair.
I remember when people tried to tell me in high school that you can't like this band because of this. And I remember just being like, I'm gonna like whatever. I wasn't allowed to like Roy Orbison because I would listen to Metallica.
Yeah.
Remember people
What?
tried, oh, you can't
No.
listen to Roy Orbison. You can't. It's just like,
Oh my
you're not
god.
gonna
Everything's
tell me
super
what I'm
clicky.
gonna. Well, sorry, I'd be like, you're not gonna tell me what I'm listening to.
My name's Jay Bartlett. One day I'm gonna
But
be
they're
on
like-
TV.
They're like, don't punch that kid, you'll kill him. Like,
I know you guys are drummers, but can you explain to us what a fuzz wah box is? This thing that they use to get this sound? It's some sort of distortion pedal, or
Yeah, I thought that was something that didn't Hendrix really like, that was like Hendrix's thing.
Is
I
it like
don't know.
stuff like Sonic Youth has like that hiss behind all their songs? It's
Well, yeah.
almost like when you're done playing a song, you can hear someone's amp go shh.
Well, because you have the fuzz box, right? Which
Yeah.
is just like a. I don't want to call it a pedal because that's just kind of a generic
Right.
term for it, but it's one of those additional sounds that can put on an amplifier. But then you have the wah wah too, like that wah wah pedals. A
Yeah,
wah, wah,
yeah.
wah, wah, right?
Yeah.
So this might be some, bastard love child of, the wah wah and the fuzz box. I don't know. I'll have to look into that, but that was one of the things I picked up when we were doing this. That's how they get that sound, the white noise that was very much a part of what they were doing.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And another band where brothers are key, like we talked about with
Success
Oasis
and
a little
failure.
bit. Yeah. Ooh, boy. Right up to the very end with William being very outspoken and walked out on the House of Blues stage performance they were doing and said, "We're done. Can't do it anymore." Bummer.
Yeah,
That's
it's got to be hard. Like I know, like Chad, we've been in bands our whole lives. You two guys, do you play? You play
No.
in bands or music or anything? No.
I was in a band in high school as singer, but we never did anything beyond that.
So like especially now for me, like we're just trying out a new drummer this Thursday because it's hard enough to get 5 people in our adult lives together once a week, let alone if you're siblings in the band with you. I can only imagine how difficult that would be. Do you know what I mean?
Creating music, it's all about. There's a lot of compromise involved. You can't just say, "Well, this is how it's going to be." It's like, well, if you want me to add, my musical skills to it, which come from like my attitude and my thought process and everything, then it's going to sound the way that it sounds.
I've never liked the hired gun mentality. I've never wanted to be in a band with someone. And when we put this ad out, Chad, like a couple of weeks ago, we had a couple drummers and I need a lead guitarist too. And they're just, like what gigs you have lined up? It's like, no, I'm not hiring you. I'm like, I want a 5th member who can contribute, who wants to write, who wants to give us their input too. I don't want a hired gun. It's like, okay, see ya. It's like, okay.
My band, we tried, I don't want to say numerous, but at least twice, seriously, to get a 4th member as a second guitar. No.
Couldn't find the right fit.
Does not work. No, not for that band, not for us. No, never worked.
I don't really know much about what happened with Van Halen, but it seems like Alex and Eddie were tight and they controlled where the band went. So
they were the siblings. They started right. Obviously, they're the Van.
Their name, yeah.
See,
And
I would say just I don't know, but I would think because Alex was the drummer, it's like they kind of needed each other. Where I think it's in a band like Oasis, the 2 brothers, they would each sing, and I think their egos just got the best of them, right? But I would say Eddie needed Alex and vice versa for sure.
Yeah, that's fair. What do you think, Will? Were you into Jesus and Mary Chain?
No, but I really enjoyed it. I love that it's on the list, and I'm definitely going to check them out.
Yep, good song. Pretty straightforward, especially for Jesus and Mary Chain.
Well, gentlemen, I think you both did quite well. Good playlist from both. Just want to plug a little for our buddy here. 12 Step Rebels. Their music is available pretty much everywhere, anywhen, and it's good.
See, I'm wearing Ryan's shirt there.
Yeah, I was going to say.
He is.
Look at you wearing the 3POA shirt, man.
I wear it a lot. That shirt.
Represent.
It works well. The whole like kind of Cthulhu thing, and nobody really knows what it is. So like, I like
fits the vibe.
Yeah,
you guys do a lot of rockabilly, psychobilly kind of thing.
Oh, this is when I had hair.
You guys did.
Oh my God! Look at that old school picture. Woo! That's awesome.
So
that picture is so old.
What would you say is? I mean, the difference between then and now as far as your sound? You're still doing the same kind of thing. You're playing some new songs. You're experimenting with other types of influences, or is that you don't think about it that much? You just play and enjoy.
No, like Jay can attest to this, as no matter what you play, or as a musician, you always want to like grow, grow your sound, grow your maturity in how you play what you play, not just in what you play.
Right
And our bass player, he's very unique for an upright bassist because he intonates a lot. And
I love that bass.
a lot of psychedelic bands, they just they just slap it around, but like Nate likes to really intonate and ring out. Just he always finds like if Jake's like on the bass clef of his guitar, like Nate will go all the way up into the treble clef on his bass, and he just does like this weird intonation, and it just works. I don't know, they work really well together. And yeah. Oh, and then I'm wearing a Gridiron shirt right there. I just wear Dolly shirts, whatever when I jam.
It's all good. So
yeah,
please check out.
We're just working a lot on different melodies and stuff. So.
Right on. A lot of their videos or their songs are available on YouTube as well as
Everywhere.
TikTok, Instagram, everywhere. Yeah. So go check them out. I apologize, Jay. I didn't realize you were currently in a band, or I would have plugged that as well.
Oh no, it's nothing like that. No, just playing around for fun, just doing shows locally. But again, it's trying to get people together, and I'm just so tired of people who don't have time. I don't have time. It's like you do, you just don't want to put it towards music. So let's just be real here, right? So
be real.
To other stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, everyone's got time. Everyone, and everyone's always like, "Oh, I'm busy. Yeah, dude, so am I, and so is everybody else." Because we're
not.
adults. All right, well,
You keep saying that, and the ma'am is gonna.
You could just solve this real quick, dude. You could just come here.
I know, right? And that's it.
I don't believe you don't have a honey-do list from the ma'am. You have things to do.
I'm always
sir,
busy.
sure.
I was joking. I just like to chuck that joke around because I can, but no, I'm always.
That's true. And mostly on your channel, which is quite good. Links in the description below, both to Jay and to Chad's channels. And we'll be watching them on Friday when they do their next verses. And Jay does some really cool stuff with video games during the mornings, a couple days a week. I've been enjoying that, especially, the Fallout and some of like the ghouls and ghosts kind of stuff. A lot of cool retro stuff I'm digging. I haven't been into in a while.
Yeah, it's cool to have you in there. I really enjoy it. You're very interactive with people, so it's nice.
I
Depends on how much coffee I've had.
What's that, Chad?
I like to listen to you scream. Where did I come from?
Run away!
Yeah, I started in 2020. Right when the pandemic hit, it was just toys. But my career starts with video games. So, lots of people are like, just mix the two together. And I really wanted to get back into gaming. So it's almost like starting the channel again because it's a slow grow again. Because most of the stuff I do now is gaming.
Do you simulcast on Twitch or strictly YouTube?
It doesn't do anything.
Okay.
It doesn't do anything. It's one of those things where you got to pick one or the other. And because I like making produced videos, YouTube just makes sense.
Yeah,
so.
That's fair.
Speaking of, you got your start in video games. Not only what you did for your career, but also Nintendo Quest. I just saw the trailer for N64 Quest.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
So that's the sequel. Thanks, Rob paid you to say that.
No.
So that was a charity drive you guys were doing?
Yeah, that's our sequel to our first documentary we made together called Nintendo Quest. So this one I'm collecting, the best of my ability, all 364 games, shelving out the money myself, and then auctioning off a ton of that stuff to charity. So that's what the raffle is for now. We're hoping to sell 1,000 tickets, and you get a chance. Everyone's a winner, but you get a chance to win some of those games. So, and it's all goes to Alzheimer's here in Ontario. That's what my mom passed away from. So it all goes towards that particular division of the Alzheimer's Society as well.
Excellent. So it's going
Thanks,
to a good
Chad.
cause.
Love you.
Me too.
It's
Nothing
good.
wrong
When it's
with
good for people to
promotion.
know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why we love doing these collaborations. We get to know what everybody's working on and get to know about some cool stuff, not just the music, but the people behind the music.
Yep.
Yep. So that's all I've got tonight. We're actually a little long, but you know, I had fun.
That's what
It
she
was
said.
cool hanging with you guys. But
Dude, it was so good. You guys are awesome. You're two genuine guys, and that's my favorite kind of podcast to be on.
That's what she said.
thanks. Unless you have some words of wisdom, Will, I'm going to play us out because I don't think we can top that.
Have an awesome day.
Yes!